Hey folks, and welcome back here to Gatekeeper Media as we continue to bring you coverage of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And this time around, we're bringing you some feature card coverage at the Portland Open. And really looking forward to bringing you this one. Our first couple rounds are going to be at Blue Lake, and then of course we get a couple of rounds at Glendoveer. And we thank you all for tuning in, and we give a special thank you, of course, to our Patreon supporters who help make this all possible. Once again, I am Dustin Mouret, bringing you the commentary solo for this event. And we're just looking forward to these beautiful courses that we have out in front of us for this event. And we got a great card to play it, as we got defending world champ James Conrad topping things up with Mason Ford, Albert Tamm, and Thomas Gilbert. Take a look at the standings right now. Ricky's sitting this out with injury, but still topping the boards with Calvin Heimberg and Chris Dickerson just behind in the top three. Gannon Burt and Paul Macbeth rounding out that top five. Take a look here at James Conrad's bag. Of course, playing for MVP, known for putting his Nomad, and of course he's made the Envy very famous. Also known for his new disc, the Terra, as well as throwing the Vault and the Fireball and the Photon. Take a look at Mason Ford, coming from DD, puts the EMAC Judge. Also really known for his smooth throws with the Getaway. Also can use the Enforcer and Defender for some distance. Definitely a very smooth player, some of my favorite for him to watch. Then we get to the bazooka himself, Albert Tamm from Latitude 64, definitely known for those Ballista Pros, also throws some recoils, and of course throws the Explorer and Pioneer, putts with the Shield. Not too many people using that, so a little bit unique. And of course we get to Thomas Gilbert out of Prodigy, putting the PA3. Also throws the Distortion, kind of a newer approach disc, and of course also known for the Falcor, the Reverb, as well as various D-Series disc and the FX2, I think is another favorite of his. Let's get into it here. Hole 1, a 455-foot par 3, very, very difficult hole to attack. Really requires the roller to be able to get up to the pin due to the low ceiling that stretches the entire fairway.
First up on the tee, out of Blacksburg, Virginia, James Conrad.
Again, James Conrad being our reigning world champ, ranked 10th in the UDisc World Rankings, 4th at Texas State's earlier this year. He's also had several top 15 finishes at Champions Cup, Jonesboro, and DDO, as well as a second recently at Masters Cup out in Santa Cruz. Definitely looking to lay down that roller. I imagine the entire card will be looking for that play, as again, it's really the only way to get to this pin with the low ceiling. And that looks laid down pretty nice. It's going to make its way up there. It's going to filter out outside the circle, though.
Up next on the box, out of Universal City, Texas, Mason Ford.
And of course, Mason Ford coming in ranked 20th in the UDisc World Rankings, had a 15th at Waco, and has been within the top 20 at multiple events on tour this year, including Texas State's Champions Cup, Jonesboro, and the most recent OTB Open event we just got away from. See what he's eyeing up here. Also laying down that roller. Make some pretty good progress up the center. Just outside the circle.
Up next, throwing his discs all the way from Tartu, Estonia, Albert Tamm.
And yeah, it is going to be the bazooka here. Albert Tamm, our 2022 Open at Tallahassee champion. He's also placed in or near the top 25 at multiple events this year as he comes over from Estonia. Doing pretty well at Waco Masters Cup and, of course, the OTB Open recently. Plays that roller more to the right-hand side of the fairway. There is OB over there he could roll into if he's not careful. And he does find it right there over by the road.
And rounding out our 1040 group, out of Toronto, Ontario, Thomas Gilbert.
And, of course, Thomas Gilbert coming in ranked 30th in our world rankings. Just came back from Canada where he was able to win an A-tier out there and was looking to try to bring that form into this tournament. Obviously a fantastic player, definitely known for his distance. looking to also lay down that roller. Just gets a little too high, gets caught up early, has a lot of ground still to cover. And now getting up and down for par is tough because he's still got to challenge that low ceiling for so long to get up to the putting green. And that too will kind of get away from him there. Goes up high and actually kicks OB. Ouch. Not the start Thomas Gilbert was looking for. Very unfortunate kick there. At least he'll be able to get it up and down from the OB to hopefully put this hole to rest. As we pivot over to Albert Tamm here. He did go OB off the tee, trying to potentially save par with the stepper here. Definitely gives it a little bid there. Just a little short. We'll have to settle for bogey. Mason Ford also looking for a bit of a stepper here. Right near the edge of circle 2, it appears. And just falls short himself. We'll have to settle for the par. Again, not an easy hole by any means. But this is definitely out in James Conrad country. Definitely known for putts from this range. And just not quite enough angle on that to get around the tree. We'll have to settle for the 3. Gilbert will tack in a double there. As this plays the 4th most difficult hole on the day, 0.32 strokes over par. Only 6% of the field found the birdie. Again, with it just requiring such a money roller, essentially, to give yourself a chance, or you have to, putt from 50 feet or greater more often than not. So definitely a tough one to snag, but getting the par is something you really want to at least walk away with, and several of our players will be able to do so. Now we'll head over to hole 2, a 425-foot par 3. There is a Mando down on the right-hand side of the fairway, which takes away the ability to throw the big hyzer over the road. It's a pretty stock forehand for our right-handed players, but also a backhand turnover is totally possible. And so we'll see how our card chooses to attack it. I imagine most of them will be throwing forehands, other than, of course, James Conrad, who's certainly known for the backhand turnover game he's got. Actually, he decides to attack the gap, but that's risking missing the Mando if it overturns and just gets short of it and stays in bounds there. So that is pretty tricky. A very hard gap to hit that he was going for there, but almost found it. Actually, Mason as well looking to play the turnover. Oh, he's been working on his forehand, but this might be just outside the range he feels comfortable with. But unfortunately, at least that one a little bit short outside circle 2. And of course, Tamm has one of the most powerful forehands there is in disc golf, so he certainly will have no problems attacking this with the flick.
Get past it.
Actually comes up a little bit short or early. Either way, not getting exactly what he wanted there, and that's going to be a lengthy putt ahead of him. As we get up to Thomas Gilbert here. And that looks really good. Especially with the right skip. That's going to be parked. Absolutely. That's a great way to recover after a tough opening hole. As, of course, Gilbert always known for his power and his forehands right up there with his backhand as far as the distance he can cover. And yeah, that's going to be one he's happy with. That's a very tricky situation here for James Conrad, having to stretch all the way out to try to get around this Mando and get up and down to try to save the par. Looks like he should be able to do it. Fully commits to it there, and Yeah, gets up and down, no problem. Should be a tap-in par there. Keep Conrad at even. Stepper here for Tamm. Just lays it up. Mason trying to give it maybe a slight chance there, but we'll nestle up there for the par. So it looks like Gilbert will card the solo birdie. Little rest there on the basket. The rest of the card looking just to take the 3. And no problems here to clean this one up. It's certainly fun to be back out here at Blue Lake. Such a beautiful course. Didn't get to see it, of course, last year. Or really for some time due to restrictions, but now back in action. So we head over to hole 3, a 550-foot par 4. This kind of requires a big hyzer off the tee to make sure you get good positioning. You don't want to carry too straight, otherwise you will be cut off from approaching this green. But obviously if you go too far left, then you could wind up finding that OB. And of course, it's kind of a skinny green up there as well once you get up to the mouth. So again, just really need to play for placement off the tee and make sure you finesse your up shot into position for the birdie. Gilbert takes the box and playing the hyzer shot that is required for this hole. That pushes a little straighter and over to the right of the fairway than he probably wants to be, but could still probably make something happen from over there. Again, it's always tough because you kind of want to be more to the left, but then you start bringing trees into play you might get caught up on, and you start bringing that left OB into play as well. That's going to play some Plinko and does fall in bounds and is near that left-hand side, so it should give him a backhand approach. That's a great shot for Mason Ford. Puts him in what should be ideal position to approach. Of course, Tamm making that big spike hyzer look pretty effortless. It's going to fall towards that right-hand side just a smidge, but still shouldn't be too cut off. So we'll see what kind of lie Conrad wound up with here. Should have a straight line to the pin. Yeah, right there. Just a little tunnel you have to get through, but that'll do. Nice shot there from Conrad, and here's the angle that Ford has again, pretty much straight in front of him. Just got to keep it under that low ceiling. That'll do as well. Slides up there in the circle. Yeah, Tamm being a little bit more right. He's actually, looks like he's going to have to play a spike hyzer over the right OB into the green. Or no, actually finds a little gap that he punches through. And that'll work. Okay, then. But Gilbert, on the other hand, definitely just pushed so far forward and off to the right to where he really has to display this spike hyzer, get to the green. That drops it in there just fine, right on the bullseye. Right next to the koozie, actually, and looks like we could be seeing several birdies here. Actually a little short here from Conrad, just outside the circle, but again, this is a range he's very comfortable putting from. And that'll just hop in. Looked a little low at first, but we'll skip into the chains and lives up to his reputation of knocking in those just outside the circle. Looks like Mason Ford's got maybe a 20 to 25 footer ahead of him here for his birdie. And that will fall in nicely. So could be looking at a card full of birdies on this hole. It's actually played as the 6th most difficult. Only 23% of the field fought on the birdie, but we may have 100% here on our feature card. Tamm will find just right of center and nestle in there nicely for his own score. And pretty much just a drop in here for Gilbert. Now hit a couple in a row, and we'll be back after a short break.
That's the future of disc golf right there. I mean, that kid is going to be a force to be reckoned with now, next year, and 10 years. Just look forward to many more battles with him.
To win this event is a great stepping stone in my career, and hopefully I can win a couple more soon.
And now we get into hole number 4, a 295-foot par 3, a pretty straightforward hole. There is OB left and right, and the OB in particular comes in really close on the left-hand side of the green, and so that is one thing you have to keep in mind. But outside of that, it's a pretty routine shot. Shouldn't really be too difficult, especially since we were having some pretty good conditions. Weather was pretty nice, all things considered. Maybe a little overcast, but not too windy, and pretty solid temperatures from what I was told. And just take your straightest shot and attack the pin, and that's great from Gilbert. This hole certainly suits Conrad's putter shot expertise, but that's actually drifting a little left. He needs a kick or he will be OB, and indeed, he does find it over there. Might still be able to recover par, though. Looked like he got pretty up there before drifting out of bounds. Seems to be hyzering in nicely for Mason Ford, and yeah, that'll be parked right up there next to Mr. Gilbert. As I just love watching Mason Ford throw. He just has perfect textbook form. Looks so effortless and smooth. Just one of the most buttery forms, I feel like, of any player on tour with the back end. Tamm plays a soft hyzer in there too. Just needs it to drop and sit, and it will. So 3 of our players able to execute the hole pretty much perfectly. And yeah, Conrad gets a pretty favorable lie, and we'll be able to save par. Obviously, this is one you really want to get. Almost half the field was finding the birdie on this hole, but at least able to limit any real damage to the scorecard by saving the par there. The rest of the card should be finding birdies, though. Indeed, Tamm able to put it in the basket, and the other 2 are pretty much drop-ins, so I mean, a pretty good recovery here for Thomas Gilbert. You know, a tough double on the opening hole, but has now hit a turkey here on the 2 through 4 stretch, and finds himself within the top 10 with James Conrad. Mason Ford tied for 3rd right now. As we head over to hole number 5, it is a 575-foot par 4. Again, more about placement off the tee. There is a Mando you need to stay left of, kind of on the first 200-foot stretch. Kind of just need to land somewhere in the center, making sure you push forward enough to give yourself a look at the pin, as the fairway it certainly gets a little bit more narrow as you're approaching the green, as it's a bit of a dog leg to the right once you hit the center. But again, a pretty straightforward hole that I think our field should be able to attack pretty easily. It's another one of those holes that's short enough to where you really just need to focus on placement off the tee. As that gets well up there for Gilbert. He'll be happy with that. See that little candy cane thing right there in the center of the screen? Kind of landing near that is pretty ideal. Certainly plays with the forehand, as you're seeing from our card so far, and that should also be quite fine for Mason Ford. Oh, yeah, straight look at the basket from there. Oh, and that is a beautiful shot from Albert Tamm. Perfect position. Of course, Conrad, though, favoring that backhand turnover. Certainly still a viable option for this hole. And yeah, that'll settle nicely for him as well. Has pushed forward enough to have a pretty clear look towards the pin. Will be the furthest back, but again, still has a clean look. Of course, the OB again on this hole does hug pretty tight to the left-hand side of the green, so playing more towards the right-hand side is definitely the safer approach, and it's exactly what Conrad does and executes it perfectly, well within the circle. Mason Ford matching Conrad there. Gilbert looking to continue the birdie streak. A little bit more cut off as he didn't push as forward, but... Oh, gets caught up on that tree as well. At least stays in bounds, but has a much lengthier putt due to catching a little bit of cabbage on that approach. And yeah, pretty textbook up and down backhand here for Tamm. Settles down nicely, so majority of the card finding themselves very close to the pin for birdie, but Gilbert going to have to work a bit harder for it. Just outside circle 2. Oh, and he does it. What a throw-in from Gilbert. Probably about 70 feet, if I had to guess, just based on where the blue whiskers were. But, I mean, just incredible stuff. Just keeping the streak going. Even when you think he might be out of position due to the approach shot, he connects nonetheless. And, yeah, that was indeed right at 70 feet. Man, what a way to recover your round after a cold start. Conrad will have no problems finding out his birdie, and I imagine the rest of the card, as they're right near the bullseye, will follow suit. Yeah, no problem there for Ford, finding his own turkey now here. The beginnings of his front 9, and Albert Tamm will likely find a little gobbler of his own. Indeed, it will fall. So another hole where the whole card finds the birdie. We had a couple of those so far here in the front 9s. We had the hole 6, 270-foot par 3. Pretty routine shot. The only thing that really makes it tricky is that you're pretty much throwing over OB the entire way to get to this pin. You have to get over some, tall grass and shrubs to make sure that you can get to this basket. Definitely some chances if you release a little too low that maybe you get a little bit caught up on the OB or something like that, and that's really the only thing you have to worry about. The green, a little bit guarded by some pretty big trees, but again, for the most part, this should be a pretty textbook shot for our card. Conrad catches a little bit of tree action, and that is the problem with this hole sometimes. It's just you're a little off your line. There are a couple little bushes that you can get caught on, and that will actually send Gilbert out of bounds, and I'm not sure how far back he's going to have to take that. That was flying over OB quite a ways, so might be somewhere midway up the fairway. Mason Ford catching that same little tree, and he too will fall out of bounds. And again, we'll likely have to take it fairly far back, probably about halfway up the fairway. Similar to Gilbert. Tamm not wanting to have anything to do with that, plays the higher Spike Heiser.
Yeah.
And we'll get up there to the green. Not quite sure how far away he is, but avoids OB, that's for sure. Conrad right up the gut. Beautiful shot. Lands it right near the bullseye. Should be a stress-free birdie for the big man, as obviously just known for his very long walk-up and strides, which usually knocks people off balance, but he has mastered being able to make those big movements and still throw so accurately and get all the power from it that he needs, no matter the shot. Kind of the exception to the rule, so to speak, but certainly darn good at it, as we are going to see Mason Ford and Gilbert here just have to kind of pitch up, settle for bogey on this one, more than likely. But at least it'll be a tap in. So here's Tamm for birdie. Looks like he's pretty well within circle one, so shouldn't be too much trouble. Ah, little right. Just a smidge. So we'll have to settle for par. That'll end his birdie streak. Gilbert, despite making a lot of recovery, will card an unfortunate bogey there, kind of knocking him back a peg. Conrad here for birdie. Nearly 70% of the field found the birdie on this hole. It plays the 17th most difficult, so definitely one you really wanted to get, but a couple of our players hitting some snags. As this coverage is brought to you by Fortnite. Click the link in the pinned comment below to check out Fortnite Zero Build, a very fun game mode. Coming from gaming and esports, I'm actually, too, a pretty big fan of the Fortnite Zero build, so definitely check it out if you're trying to play some new games. As we get to now a more polar opposite to hole 6, a more difficult hole. A par 4 at 825 feet with a pretty narrow fairway and lots of trees to navigate around. You could see some rollers again on this hole. Again, certainly some low ceilings that you will have to challenge on your way up to the green. Definitely plays as one of the tougher holes on the course. Not going to see too many birdies on this one. Takes the perfect tee shot and placement to be able to get up there and try to knock in your 3. We do have Conrad taking the box here after a beautiful tee shot in the previous hole. Like he may be looking for roller here. Again, roller not a bad play on this hole by any means with the low ceiling that you see there. And yeah, that's exactly what he's looking for. That was looking good for quite some time. Does cut out right though, and There's an OB over there, but he will stay in. So we'll see what kind of look he has from over there. Not certain. Looks like he might find himself in a bit of a congested area. Tamm just looking to try to punch one in the air through the low ceiling, and just catches a big branch. Looked like he was almost about to hit the home stretch there, but does get caught up, and yeah, we will see roller here from Thomas Gilbert. And that's too high. Gets caught up so early. Is trying to fight through a little bit, but he's still got a lot of work to do on this hole. So kind of an up and down round so far here from Gilbert. He was on a little bit of a roll there, but he's had a couple of struggles here on 6 and 7. Roller here for Mason Ford. It needs to get down, and no, drifts too far right. And he too will find himself in some trouble here off the tee. And yeah, Gilbert has such little to work with on this lie. And yeah, gets caught up again. Looks like he tried to play some type of flex forehand out wide and got caught up very early. Similar situation here for Mason Ford, having to try to get crafty in that bush, and honestly, about the best he could have hoped for from there, it seems. Pretty good recovery. Now Gilbert has a lot of work to do to try to save par on this one. Certainly has the arm to get up and down distance-wise, no doubt about that, but again, this low ceiling poses a lot of problems. And gets caught up yet again. Looked to be putting a pretty big move on that one, but is going to have to settle for a 5 on this one more than likely. So we get to Tamm, who still made it a pretty decent ways up there despite getting caught up. And that is looking great. Beautiful shot there from Tamm. Skips him well into the circle, and will be one of the rare birdies found on hole 7. This is going to be an interesting shot from Conrad. Going to have to play some type of maybe force overstable backhand here to try to get up and down, and that looks to be what it's doing. Oh, just catches the last tree he needed to miss to skip up into the circle, but still has, you know, decent look at it from circle 2, and again, certainly a range he can putt from. Mason Ford trying to get up and down to save his par. Pushes up there nicely. Looks like it's maybe just outside circle 1. Or no, actually, skates right in there. And Gilbert just kind of pitching one up there to save bogey. Even that looks like a little bit of a tester there near the edge of the circle. And here's Conrad with another lengthy putt ahead of him here. Looks like this is maybe just inside circle 2. So maybe right at 55 to 60 feet, looks like. Oh, and just a little low. Certainly was online, though. So we'll take a par here. And here's Thomas Gilbert to try to limit the damage here and just take the 5. And that's a low out the hand. Never had a chance. And so another blemish on the scorecard here for Thomas Gilbert. Here's Tamm for birdie. And just low. He's going to be kicking himself for that one. He played the hole so well and was right there in front of him, but will fall short and have to settle for par. This was the 3rd most difficult hole on the day, as Mason Ford did well to salvage par on it. played .33 strokes over par with only 6% of the field finding the birdie. That was 7 players. So again, certainly a difficult hole here on the front 9. As we see our card clean up. Now we get to hole 8, a bit of an island green at 315 feet. Is certainly OB you have to contend with, as you have to cross a small little water carry type situation. And then, yeah, the green again, the OB comes in pretty close to the pin on this elevated basket, so certainly can make your landing zone a little bit tighter, so you have to think a little bit more about. But again, certainly a shot that most players are going to feel pretty comfortable with. James taking a big turnover over the left OB. He's going to come a little bit shorter of what he wanted, but still we'll have a look at it. Yeah, with the pin kind of being to the right-hand side of the island, the forehand's definitely the play if you've got it. But, of course, Conrad was coming with that backhand turnover and did well with it. All about distance control on this.
Nice. Go ahead. Come on.
And yeah, that's well done from Tamm. Spikes it right in near the bullseye. I know that Mason Ford, obviously more known for his backhand, but put a lot of work in on the forehand during the offseason. Has definitely brought it out to good effect when he's needed it. And let's see what they say. God, it is going to come up short, it seems. That's going to be OB. And this is looking great from Gilbert. Yeah, that is well done, right near the bullseye. Chance for Gilbert to try to play a little bit more recovery here, as we do see Conrad just outside the circle. Oh, and that time just a little high. Previous hole was a little low, so he's, again, dead center each time, but just missing the height a little bit. As, man, it looks like Mason Ford just barely was out of bounds with that forehand. Trying to save par with that putt, but will come up just a little off, and that will be a bogey. Tamm, though, able to capitalize on that one. Puts in the 3 under on the round, tied up at 6th position. Gilbert able to get one back after a couple of struggles on holes 6 and 7. Conrad and tapping the par, and Ford will finish things off with the bogey. Now we get to a very interesting hole. It is a par 4, only 515 feet, but it is a very oddly shaped fairway. Look at this green. It's such a thin stretch to the pin and such a just small circle of inbounds around the basket. And so really it's just place a shot dead center of the fairway, maybe about 350 to 400 feet up, and then just pitch up for your birdie. Really no need to take any crazy dice rolls on this one. Just give yourself a decent shot off the tee, that center cut, and then just finesse an upshot in there and walk away with your 3. That's kind of the preferred line that you're seeing Tamm take, but it really is dealer's choice as long as you can get around that tree that you saw him swing around. Really the main obstacle you have to worry about, just this one big tree. Just a wide spiking hyzer there for Gilbert. No problem. Again, just that same textbook hyzer in. So far, everyone handling this hole to the standard that you need. It is worth noting this play as the easiest hole on the day, and often does play as the easiest hole on this course. And you know, everyone on the card landing exactly where they want to be. Now it's just about a pretty simple upshot. That'll do just fine. There for Albert Tamm. That is right next to the pin. Right on the wood chips. No problem there either for Conrad. Right there near the bullseye. It looks like everyone's going to find the bullseye on the approach, as long as Gilbert can match. So spike one in there, and that'll put the finishing touches on this front nine, as this was playing .81 strokes under par, so 86% of the field finding the birdie. And you can see why. As long as you get off the tee clean, it should be pretty routine. That's exactly how our feature cards handle it. I believe this is 3 out of 9 holes where we had the entire card getting the birdie, so some bright moments, but a couple of tough patches here and there as well. But still, all of our card pretty much in contention for the top 5 as we wrap this thing up. We thank you so much for tuning into this. As you can see, Conrad tied for first with Tamm and Mason Ford at 5th, and Gilbert has had some brilliant moments, but just had a couple of snags along the way that's kind of slowed him down. And take a look at the leaderboard here. You can see that 4 down is kind of the pace that you need to have on the front 9 thus far. But 2 under keeping you in that top 5. And we will see you on the back 9 here shortly. Be sure to follow, subscribe if you're not already. And again, a big thank you to our Patreon supporters who help make this all possible. Again, I'm Dustin Mouret bringing the commentary. If you enjoyed it and you want to give me a follow, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram. It's Follow Dust for both of those. And then Dustin Disc on YouTube. And I'll catch you on the back 9 here soon. So catch you then.